and Merry Christmas. So good to be back connecting with you all, and I hope you all had amazing holidays just a couple days after Christmas. And I was just chatting with Amnon before the show, asking him how his Christmas was. And do you want to share anything, Amnon? Get our little dialogue going, like what you're grateful for this Christmas. What do you got? See, he wasn't expecting that. Amnon, are you there?
Yeah. Oh, again, I didn't know I
You're
was
like,
spotted
what?
down.
She's talking to me. Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm not thinking about turning the mixer up on my channel.
Oh, it's
No,
okay.
I said for waking up every morning.
Yeah, you're
It's
grateful for that.
at our age, when we get to my age, yeah,
You're like, oh my God, we're still breathing,
we're
baby.
still
This is
breathing.
awesome.
No, but there's a lot to be thankful for. I mean,
Yeah,
friends, family, situations. I mean, it's just nice.
yeah. Well, that's good. And I agree with you. I think I start every day like, awesome. I'm still breathing. We're still here. Well, let's do
Yep,
this.
yep.
So that is a great place to focus. And you had good time with your family.
It was great. We had,
Good. I'm glad.
whoopsie.
Oh, is someone calling in?
Yeah, but I can't answer that. Oh,
Okay.
you go ahead. Actually, I need
Okay.
to.
Well, anyway, guys, welcome. And I'm glad that everyone's connecting. Whoever's here today, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give you all the numbers so that you can call in if you'd like to ask any questions or if you'd like to contribute any of your soul heartfelt connections and expressions. It's 919-518-9773. So if any of you guys want to call in, otherwise, just log in and you can put in your name, nickname, superhero name, whatever, alter ego, and join our conversation. I welcome you to join the conversation today. But it was cool this morning. I went on a hike with my beloved and our puppy, Honey Girl, and she needed to get out and get some exercise. So we went outside, and I also needed that nature connection because the last couple days I've just been kind of cooped up inside. I'm not going to say I was sick because I don't believe in that old paradigm anymore, but I know that a few days, maybe it was like the 23rd, 24th, we were having a lot of solar flares and more of the galactic energy that was coming in, and I felt it intensely, intensely, and I just feel like it kind of really did a number on me, on my body, and I've just been really guided to go inward the last few days and just chilling and resting. And we did, we had fun on our holidays as well. We went to William's family. His aunt had us over and a lot of the family over. We did this white elephant party, like gift exchange. And I ended up with this really cool candle holder with like one of those flameless candles. And William ended up with his own gift, which was indoor skydiving. So he's super stoked about doing that. But we had a lot of fun. And then it was nice to, like, we went to that and then we went home and we rested. And what I'm going to talk about today is actually connected with that, which is about the balance, because it's all about the balance. And sometimes, especially at holidays, I feel like we can feel pressure to give too much, put too much of our energy in, too much fuel to the fire, and we can burn ourselves out. And I just literally went through like a phoenix phase where I was just burning down, literally, energetically, literally every way. And I'm feeling a lot better. But if you hear some difference in my voice, a little scratchiness, it's just my chest and head still clearing out some congestion. And it was interesting because I tune in meditation. I always ask my guides what's going on. And I was really in a meditative space asking for clarity on what was going on in my body because I have not been sick, like physically sick in years. And so I was just like, what is this? And as I was tuning in, I realized that we're clearing a lot more, and my body physically was shedding off a lot more and energetically was releasing a lot more. And I also was guided to speak my truth on some important things regarding family. And once I did, my throat felt a lot better. I was releasing and letting go of even more old past cellular energy connected, especially with family and holiday times. And so, for some of you, if you feel like the holidays were amazing and magical, awesome. you are doing it all in a great alignment, and your focus is probably on joy and happiness and abundance, and everything's blissful, like Amnon. And then if some of you are not having a blissful experience and maybe your holiday season is a challenge for you, maybe the last couple of days you were in a state of depression or you felt sad or lonely, what I was going to talk about is how we can bring that balance back and how we can use this as an opportunity to transcend that old pain and suffering. And for some, if we've had, things happen at the holidays, like for me in 2012, I left my ex-husband the day after Christmas. And I was doing my best to get through the holidays so that I didn't have to leave at Christmas. But sometimes a girl just knows it's time to jump. And that was what happened for me. But it kind of, I had to clear that. And it took me a year or two to really clear and process that emotional energy connected with that loss happening at the holidays. And so some of you maybe have lost a loved one or you've gone through some kind of significant change, and the holidays can kind of bring that to the surface. And not to mention that on Christmas Day, we had a full moon. And I think the last one was like in 1977 or something like that. So a full moon on Christmas Day. And so we got all this emotional stuff going on and all these expectations and conditioning of our society. And then we add a full moon to it. It could look like just an ass kicking from the universe for some of you, or we could look at it as, wow, look at this amazing opportunity that the universe is working out for me to really clear and process and take that holographic leap into a new reality now, and not be caught up in conditioning and programming and expectation, not be caught up in that old conditioning to go into a program of suffering and of depression, but to instead focus consciously on the held focal point of desire, love, joy, and to stay focused upon, what you're grateful for. Gratitude is amazing. Gratitude will shift your frequency so quickly. And so in regards to balance, we have to really watch that there are times when we need to go inward. And at the holidays, we have a lot of people pressuring us to go and be busy and do this party and that event. And I personally encourage you, at any time of the year, but especially when it gets intense like that in the holidays, is to really honor yourself. Make sure you're practicing your daily meditation. Make sure you're still going to your yoga classes and that you're honoring that inner receptive time, because that's going to give you the energy you need to do these other things and to keep things in balance so that you still feel good and you thrive. But one of the things I shared on Facebook today is it's a picture of Buddha, and it says, the only thing making you unhappy are your own thoughts. Change them. And what I shared on Facebook was that indeed, this is truth. Some of you reading this may have a feeling of resistance with this within yourselves. Tune into that. Observe the habit of resistance. Honor what you have and honor what you feel. Have the courage to see it clearly and the wisdom to release, release, release all that is bringing you that heavy, depressing feeling. And then one of the guys commented on it, and he wrote, and I love this because he speaks of Dharma, and he said, unhappiness, anger, depression, these are a result of mindful conflict with Dharma, the rules that govern this place. Forgetting, and these are the universal laws, is Dharma, forgetting that we are consciousness and happy in favor of wants and desires in the pursuit of happiness of objects, results in our conflict with Dharma. So like when we are more focused, let's say at the holidays, we're focused on our wants and our desires, but they're not here, we haven't received them yet, we can get our focal point really on a lot of external things that we're chasing to give us a sense of fulfillment. And it can really be an amazing awakening opportunity, or you can just stay unconscious and suffer deeply. But it's all about staying focused on the universal laws and not losing our focal point that we are infinite consciousness, and that we need to get in this place, I feel, where we practice this more universal patience. Like this divine patience is such a beautiful thing to stay connected with, because all beautiful things that you desire will come to you at the divinely aligned time. And so it's not thinking like, if I have a desire that hasn't shown up, that I just need to throw in the towel and think, oh, I could never have that. It's just too big of a dream. I am a big dreamer, and I believe to go for those big dreams. I feel like If there's anything I've mirrored to all of you on this show over the last year and a half, is that Tawnya Love is not afraid to take holographic leaps and to make bold changes and shifts in her life when she knows that this is what her soul is calling her to do. But at the same time, I have this deep place and, awareness within of patience, of the divine patience and the timing of everything. So in the holiday times, it can be a test for us, because if we look outside at the world that's teaching that joy and happiness come from consumerism and from gift giving and gift getting and just busy parties and being socially accepted and like being involved in all the, glamour, then we can really suffer. And if we remember that our dharma is the universal law, that we are consciousness, we are infinite vast consciousness, forever moving, forever expanding, forever flowing. Nothing can be taken from us, that is really ours. We're consciousness. We're going to keep on moving no matter what. And if we can remember that and to stay present in this now moment, no matter what that now moment is on the calendar, whether it's December 25th or December 17th, it doesn't really matter. It's staying present and keeping that balance within. Then we can hold a focal point of what we love and desire, but we give it time. We let the universe work out all the details in bringing us what we desire, what we deserve. And on that note, a lot of what is causing, I feel, a lot of human struggle is not, excuse me, not that they're not getting what they desire, but at a deep level, we feel we don't deserve. We feel we're undeserving. And then we go into times where our ego says, no, I deserve more than they do. And now I'm pissed. And then it's like, no, actually, I deserve nothing. And it's this very bipolar dance. But when we come into the middle way and we stay centered, and this is what meditation offers, we stay in that place of stillness and we remember we are vast consciousness. We are loved. We are supported. We are infinitely supported. And we can stay in that space of allowing, and then whatever shows up in our movie, we can be grateful for. So, some people might have a focal point on what they didn't get at Christmas or didn't get in any particular day, and they suffer. And then there's those that maybe didn't get even as much as they got, but they're grateful for whatever they did get. And so when we stay in a place where we're grateful, we're going to feel better. No matter, it doesn't matter how fancy your outfits are or how much, how many presents you got under the tree this year, because you all know this very quickly, that feeling, that high that we get when we get stuff, that high is a distraction and we feel high temporarily. And then there's like this creepy low feeling that comes in, just like any kind of addiction. You get the high from the drug and then there's that yucky feeling afterwards. And we need to start really paying attention to that so that we can find our middle way. We can find the balance, because it's not from consumerism. It's not from getting. I feel our joy is from gratitude. So I'm going to pause and see if anyone's commenting, because I feel like I'm going to choke. So one sec.
No, nobody yet.
Okay.
Everybody's just saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Nice. Thank you. Well, you guys write in, share some of your stories. If any of you have been, be vulnerable today. If any of you kind of have been depressed last couple of days and you're like, man, Tawnya, I really had a shitty Christmas, and talk to me about that so we can process and tune in on it. And those of you that have had an amazing holiday, talk to me about that. Like, I'd love to hear back from you. So share that feedback. Back to this guy's comment on Facebook. What he said was, forgetting that we are consciousness and happy in favor of wants and desires, and the pursuit of happiness in objects results in our conflict in our dharma. Change your mind by remembering that we are pure awareness, unchanging, whole, and complete. The unmet desires and experiences of the object world will fade, and the joy and bliss of our true nature will once again be self-evident. And I completely agree with that. I feel like gratitude is what's going to help amplify all of our vibration. And for some of you, if you're struggling with a space of gratitude, sometimes we do need to just get outside and we need to connect with nature. We need to kind of get back to the life and be simple and not have so much distraction and busyness. And it can be amazingly rejuvenating and restorative to just take a little walk in the forest and be quiet with the trees and just feel gratitude and just connect with the energy of the forest at any given season and notice how it's reflecting back to you a way of being, a way of living and being and thriving. And so if in the wintertime we're feeling tired and we feel like we're still being conditioned to go and be busy, but we go into the forest and everything's quiet and everything's kind of pulled in, everything's gone inside for hibernation, this can be such a beautiful thing that we could also align with, and we could also find our balance with nature, and we can honor that need to go inward, the need to go into the darkness, to go into meditation and to pull inward and be reflective. That can be really powerful for us, and this is going to help us with balance because so many of us have been, we've talked about this on the show before, but conditioned to always be performing and doing and doing and busy, busy, busy. And sometimes we need to just be. So I encourage you guys to honor that within yourselves. And I just keep needing to drink water because my throat's really
You go
scratchy.
ahead and drink all the water that you need. And
Thank you.
Cindy's saying, I was kind of depressed yesterday. I had a good Christmas, but think I came down from that high.
Nice awareness.
She's much better today, though.
Nice. So I'm going to ask Cindy, and Cindy, comment on there if you'd like. Tell me, like, what are you processing about that
Well,
high?
wait, I'll ask her. Cindy, why don't you call in?
Yeah, call in, Cindy.
919.
I've been telling her to call in for so long.
Give him the number.
919-518-9773. So if she's feeling brave and bold, call in. But yeah, I would love to hear her awareness on that, like how she processed that, because that's so powerful when we can catch that and go, oh, I have this high and now I suddenly feel like this emptiness, like there's no more presents to open, and oh, now I realize none of that stuff made me happy. There was I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's the guy who created the movie Bruce Almighty, the director. He did a documentary, and I really wish I could remember what it was called right now. But anyhow, you could go find out the director's name and then see what documentary he made. But he did this documentary where he talked about his own life and how he had this drive to go and be a celebrity in Hollywood and make it big as a director, which he did. He achieved his goal and he got all those desires met. And he said he remembers just buying this mansion, and then he bought a bigger mansion. And this one particular day, he'd bought this really big mansion and everybody had left, all the movers left, and he was in the mansion standing there. And he just kind of like looked around and he realized he didn't feel any happier than he did in the house before. And so this whole belief system that he had is that he was going to be happier in this mansion, and it just kind of popped because it was an illusion. And eventually he ended up selling the mansion and simplifying his life, and then now he's making documentaries about things that are really, mean something to his soul. And I feel like it's all about balance. We might want to think, oh, I'm poor and that sucks and I'm not happy. So if I was really rich, so we'll try to go over to that side of the spectrum and we'll become very wealthy. Like India Arie sings about that in one of her songs. She's like, things were kind of not fun or happy when she was poor, but then they got really complex when she was rich. And then you find that middle way. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to live in a nice house. Like, we all have these desires, but if we're seeking that because we're trying to fill an emptiness, a void, we're trying to be happy. If we're, I need to be with the love of my life because then it'll make it worthwhile, and like my life sucks. That's not gonna work. Ooh, I think Cindy might be calling in. Is she? Did I hear a phone call?
Yep, this is Cindy.
Cindy! I am so proud of you. She's making big leaps this new coming year. I feel it. This is awesome, girl. I'm so proud of you. So, how are you?
Well, I'm doing much better today.
Yes. So tell me about what you observed over like the course of a few days. Kind of explain what you observed in the process that you're moving through.
Well, my goal for this particular holiday season was not to like go crazy insane and spend too much money and try to do too much. And I will say that I did better than I normally have.
Yeah.
But as time I got into the time crunch, I panicked, and then I kind of went back into my old pattern a little bit.
Where you started to affirm, were you in your mind affirming there's not enough time, there's not enough time?
Yes, and like I'm not spending enough money.
So the guilt started coming in. I should be spending more money.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting how deeply we're programmed into that stuff? Or how much it's programmed in us, I should say.
Yes, very much so. And it's so stupid.
What's that?
I was just saying, it's so stupid. The guilt piece just feels so stupid. It's like, the cheapest gifts always end up being like the most entertaining and the most fun to the kids. It's not how much you spend. It's the thoughts and stuff behind it. But I always forget that, and then I panic. And
Yes. So if we process that, if you explore in deeper, what do you feel that that's connected with? Like, if you don't give them a valuable enough gift, what does that say about Cindy? Like, what is it you're processing in regards to that?
Probably that I'm not valuable enough as a person, or I don't feel that I am, and so I have to give these things to receive love.
Good awareness, love. Exactly. And so we start going into that inner child part where it's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not lovable enough. So what do I have to do so that I'll be worthy of the love? So I have to go do these external things. And that's beautiful that you catch that, because as we catch that every time, we start to kind of dissolve the strength of that monster inside that tells us that we need to do all these things. So just you having the awareness and catching that is so huge. Do you feel that?
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Wow.
And you're so worthy. You're so enough.
Thank you.
You're starting to trust me on this.
I am. When I catch myself kind of going into that pattern, I try to, catch it.
Good girl. It's interesting because I've had some things like in my relationships where, let's say you're with your beloved and something happens and you kind of get your feelings hurt or something, you take something personally, and you can go with that, and like sometimes the inner dialogue will be telling you like, oh, you suck, you're not enough for them, or they don't love you, or whatever the voice says. And then you really have to be so swift about catching it and be like, what? And so like if I catch that, just like what we're processing with you, if you catch that, you can just be like, whatever, be quiet, like I'm awesome. Like, of course people love me, and the ones who are meant to be here are going to love me. I'm freaking cool. So shut it. And so we can kind of have that playful interaction, and eventually that voice inside that tells us we suck and we're unlovable and we're not enough, the voice gets more faint and faint and faint until it dissolves away, because we're now only listening to higher self, and higher self is like, you're beautiful, you're infinite love, you are love, your highest awareness and consciousness, you are completely worthy. And in the beginning, that voice were like, oh, you're full of crap, what are you talking about, I've been told otherwise, trust me. And so it's like we have this conflict within. But as we get to be really focused on that awareness, like Cindy has learned to do, which Cindy and I have been working together. She's been mentoring with me for almost like past year, and huge changes in this woman. I have to celebrate that with you, Cindy, because huge changes and more courage and confidence to leap in directions that feel right to her soul. So this work, this inner work, it really helps us, and it really matters, because like we have all these New Year's resolutions that everyone's going to start talking about in a couple days. And the trick is that the ones that are going to actually achieve their goals and they're going to have a great life and they're going to enjoy their life, they're going to stay in the infinite now. They're going to put out their rockets of desire of what they like to have happen, but they're going to stay present. They're going to use their practical approaches of taking aligned action, lots of meditation and beingness, energetically and vibrationally aligning with their desires. And then they're going to move forward towards them. And it's a process. It's like this, slow moving, well, not always slow. I shouldn't say slow, because sometimes it can be really fast, but it's a process. And so we got to get away from that tendency to, think that all of our worth is in what we have or how much money we spent or how many people like us, but realize that we're healing deeper wounds as humanity. We're healing this deep I'm not enough wound. And that's like Cindy's got it and I've got that. Um Everyone, Amnon at some level has got it. We've all got this, but as we look into it and we can see that it's there, we can start to heal it and we realize we're already healed and whole in truth, but many of us are operating from like our unconscious behavior, the cellular patterns of abuse and abandonment and manipulations and things that have happened to us that have caused us to feel afraid to be authentically us. And that takes a lot of courage. So I'm really proud of you, Cindy, for all you've moved through and that you called today. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So how are you feeling today? Like now that you observed that and you saw that you processed that, maybe I didn't need to panic and think I have to go buy all these things. Like now where are you today with that?
Well, I kind of woke up and the sun was shining, and I said, okay, well, today's going to be a better day, and I'm not going to go into like a downward spiral, because that's no fun.
No.
And yeah.
Not fun.
So, yeah. So I thought, well, I'll just consider yesterday as kind of a reflective day and time to also just rest and relax and, be aware. And now I get to move on and move forward from it.
Yes. Perfect. And you move forward wiser, more awake, more aware, and that's something to celebrate. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good lesson.
And I'm telling you, I really feel like one of the most challenging times. I mean, we celebrate it in movies and make it all glamorous and romanticize holidays, but from what I observe, holidays are one of the biggest ass-kicking times for humans. It's like there's so much expectation put on this perfect Christmas and this perfect Thanksgiving and what that means and how the family should behave and what we should be and will they love us because we haven't seen them for so long, and we go back into these little like games and we start acting like the little granddaughter again instead of our empowered self. And I feel like it's an amazing time of year for shape-shifting and for holographic leaping if we're very, very courageous to stay wide awake. But if we forget to walk in with our complete clarity and with our eyes wide open, we can not even know what hit us. And suddenly we're like back in our childhood drama, right? Yeah. It's a great test to see how far you've really evolved spiritually.
This is true.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you. And so did you end up having a great Christmas though, even though there was some of those tests that you had to see in yourself? Did you end up having a great Christmas?
I did actually, and I had a great Christmas with family, and I also made sure to spend enough time alone and kind of recognizing the holiday and being spiritual. And I had a really good moment of donating some money to somebody who really needed it last minute, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity to be able to do that. And that really, that felt so great. That was awesome.
Yeah, so like when you really give from your heart's inspiration instead of give from guilt and obligation. Little bit different feeling.
Yes, there was.
So that's awesome. And that's cool that you had that contrast to see like guilt and obligation giving. Oh, inspired, heartfelt giving. That feels different. And we're learning every day. Like that's where I feel like we really should dwell, is in that space that you were in. And it doesn't mean we have to go give all of our stuff away, but it's like when you really feel that a moment comes that touches your heart into giving and you can, and you do it from love, it's the most amazing feeling, isn't it?
Yes, it was. It felt so awesome. I teared up, I think, and I just thought, what an amazing opportunity.
That's beautiful. I'm so grateful that you listened to that and that you honored that, because that's how I feel That's how we become the earth angels in action that we are, is when we actually heed the call. We hear a calling and we know we can answer that calling and we can assist in whatever way it is. And that's how we become angels for each other, you know?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
you were an angel. I should ring a bell and then you'll get your wings. Ding ding ding. So I'm going to read a card that I drew for you. Are you open to a card?
Wait.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah, what
you
is
go,
the name known?
Karma in the chat is saying, I always heard that Christmas is the most stressful time of the year. I never experienced it. The last two Christmases are the worst of my life because of family problems. So
Oh.
keep her in your thought too.
What's her name? Karma?
Karma.
Oh, excuse
Easy
me.
now. Take a drink. Take a drink.
Yeah, I'm just so dry because I took like an allergy pill to help me decongest. So, anyway, fun times. Yeah, so sending love to Karma and lots of angels with you, Karma. Remember that. And sometimes when we go through these hard times, they can feel really challenging and kind of cause us to temporarily lose our focus upon love and gratitude and all the good in the world. But these are times, like in my journey, some of the hardest times, especially at holidays, were such amazing opportunities for awakening and shifting in my own consciousness, going to a higher holographic reality. Sometimes we can sit back and we can observe and just be at the family function and just observe all the cray cray, like sometimes energy is just crazy with when you're in a big family setting and there's a lot of people and you can sit back and observe it, but it can be such a great tool. Like I am getting ready to lead this new mentorship coming up January 16th for like the next 6 months, empowering the empath, and I've led many of them, and it's helping empaths move from a place of learning empath where they're just absorbing all the energy, they're letting everything affect them. They're taking things personally. They're people pleasing. They're trying to get everyone to, think they're enough. Learning empath. And as we move through these stages to stepping into our embodiment of an empowered empath, this is a different way of living where you can be in that same movie with your family. And it's like a movie. You're sitting back and you're observing it, but you're not absorbing it. And if it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel aligned and it doesn't feel high in vibration like love and beauty and honor, you have permission to take a holographic leap out of that movie. And this is something that I know is going to challenge certain people because we're so conditioned and trained that we have to stay attached to these humans that we came into the world with, the blood family, the tribe, the gang, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes a soul is ready to expand beyond that tribe, and that tribe is actually enslaving and suffocating the expansion of that soul. And so this is where the ego energies can be very dysfunctional amongst the tribe. And for myself personally, it helped me when I could start to see, okay, I love these humans, I love them, but they're kind of crazy and they're really hateful and they're very hurtful and abusive to each other, and it doesn't feel good to me. And for years I ignored that as a learning empath, and I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm so sensitive. Why do I have to be so sensitive? What do I have to do to be good enough for them so that they'll love me, they'll treat me nice? Or what do I have to do to mediate so they'll treat this person nice? And so I get caught in the middle of things. And then I realized one day, I don't have to deal with this. I love these humans, but they are not of a very fun vibration and they don't seem to want to be. They don't seem to want to hear the messages. Like the show, the way I speak to all of you, I've been like this my whole life with my family. Always a very tuned in soul, listening to angels and giving messages to family. But a lot of those humans didn't respect those messages. They didn't honor them. They just would shame me for even sharing them. And I started to realize it's time for Tawnya Love to evolve beyond this tribe. And I can still love them unconditionally and want good for them, but I don't need to be a part of this drama. It's not my movie. And this is something that's very empowering for a soul to realize, is that every moment you have the right as a free sovereign being to make your choices in a space that feels best for you. So what many will call, if you're in a tribe that's very dysfunctional and abusive, they're going to say you're selfish. I promise you they will. And what's really selfish is humans that project abuse and project control upon a soul and teach it to forget that it's a free sovereign being. And so I encourage you, if you can process whatever's going on in your world, in your movie right now, not to be too attached to the role and the title, not to be too attached to role and title of mother, father, grandmother, sister, brother, all these titles that can really act as bondage and enslave us if we're not really careful. And we can be here, we're really in truth all brothers and sisters of light. And when we honor that divinity within ourselves and we honor that light and love of self love, we will choose to go into higher frequencies, higher environments, like higher vibrational alignment, higher vibrational environments is what I'm trying to say. And we will find our soul family, our soul tribe. And even then, be mindful not to be too attached to role and title, because even a sense of soul tribe, like let's say I've had women's circles, and years ago, like maybe the first women's circle I led, none of those women are still coming to the circles I'm leading today. And I'm not taking that personally. There's a process, there's what they needed. There was different energies, some of them that were ready to actually choose to be in alignment and show honor, and some that just were takers. And we have this in our family. So always stay in a place where you remember that you are one with your source, source God, and you are one, and to thine own self be true. That is freedom. And then you can go and you can step into a family living room and observe their movie, but don't be too attached to that movie, and don't, feel like you have to stay and you have to suffer with them because they're your tribe. That's where I'm really going to challenge you to realize you are all one. All of us are one. And so we all have the right to choose a frequency that feels good for us. And so if we're feeling like being around these people feels really heavy and it makes me feel kind of depressed or tired or angry, then don't choose to be around them. Choose to go in a new direction. I think Cindy and I actually processed that around Thanksgiving. Like, you don't have to go to the family gathering if it doesn't feel good. And if there's a bunch of drama and BS happening, go hang out with your friends. Go home alone and put in your favorite movie and, make yourself a healthy dinner and just have a good quiet day. So it's like just to help us remember, as we're birthing a new earth, the new earth is going to be birthed from our consciousness, and our consciousness, if we remember that we are infinite love and light and we are deserving and worthy of all the goodness we desire, then we will give that to ourselves and we won't put ourselves in situations that feel enslaving. And that's a huge part of our shift, I hope, for the new year, that many humans are ready to make, because none of us came here to be slaves, but many of us are living that way. So let me know if Karma gets back to me on that sharing.
I
Is
will.
there
And
anything else?
meantime, on Blab, um, I don't know what's her name, Zandra.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying, I like what you're saying. I'm often billionized. Is this the way you say that word? Billionized? Because I naturally shy away from anything that feels uncomfortable. Villainized. Oh, villainized. Okay.
Got it. So maybe people project upon her, like, this happens to my daughter, AJ, and sometimes people even think it of me, go figure. We're both very sensitive empaths. We're very tuned into energy and frequency. And I was kind of trying to explain this to my beloved's family when we met with them, because there's often a misunderstanding of us, like when we first meet people and they're like, oh, I think what they said about AJ, she's so shy. She's so shy and so antisocial. And I was like, not at all. She's very social, but she's she's very sensitive. And so am I. And so when we walk into a gathering of like 30, 40 people, and we're used to being at home in our sacred space where it's us and it's really quiet and peaceful, it's a huge, like, energetic shocker. And so the reason I love leading these empowering empath mentorships and helping clients with this, and like Cindy and I, we've done a lot of soul coaching together remotely, is helping her to see it's okay to be sensitive and it's okay to honor the empath that you are. And that doesn't mean you're shy or antisocial. It means that you feel energy very quickly and powerfully. So part of it's like educating others to understand us. And so, like with the family, I was telling them, I hear what you're saying about AJ, but she's actually very social and very sweet child, and she would talk to you if you go and connect with her. But when we walk into the house and there's 30 people talking at one time, it's like we just walked into an energetic like explosion, and we're discerning all the frequencies and like feeling them and reading them, and it's just like overwhelming. And so sometimes when we walk in, people are talking to her and she doesn't respond, and so they're like, oh, she's so antisocial. And I'm like, no, she can't hear you because there is so many people talking. She's trying to tune all that noise out, and she's trying to focus on one thing. And this is something we need to start to honor in each other, is realize that those that are sensitive souls and they're empaths, they often will become very introverted, and they'll kind of shy away from social events. And it's not because they're antisocial, it's because they feel all that energy and it's overwhelming. But if people could understand that and kind of support them and give them a few moments, which is what I requested from the family, when we come over, just give us a half an hour. Like, let us go put our coat down and kind of sit in the living room and kind of settle in, and let us just observe you for a little while without thinking we're judging you, because we're not. We're just sitting there and we're kind of anchoring in our own frequency, and we're observing everything. And then we can start to connect one-on-one with people. But it's something that it's taken me a while to really own that for myself. And now I love and get so much joy of helping empower other empaths, because I feel like we don't need to walk around with these labels of thinking that we're antisocial and we're shy, when really we're just sensitive. And the sensitive is not a weakness. It's not a label of something's wrong with us. Sensitivity is a strength. It's a gift. The reason I can help people and tune into their auric field and help them clear things from past lives, and all the magic that I do that helps lives change in powerful ways, that is from my sensitivity. And so I've learned to honor the fact that I have very sensitive antenna that reach out, and they're feeling and they're discerning the energy always. And this is a gift. Like, many of us that are very sensitive souls, we're healers and shamans that are here to help humanity. But when we don't understand and we haven't been taught, or let's say supported in who we are, we start to take on those roles and those titles of, she's sensitive, meaning there's weakness there, or she's antisocial, and we start to take that on and we start to behave according to those titles. And I encourage you to challenge that and just really love yourself and be yourself, but start to communicate with those around you what it's like to be you. And the ones who really love you and support you and are here for you to move with on your journey, they're going to be open and receptive. And if they're not open and receptive, and they're, abusive and they're hateful, they lash out, and it causes you to feel insecurity about self, these are souls that are actually pushing you like with electric prod to move into expansion. And sometimes we don't see that. We are like, oh, how could grandma do that to me? Or how could brother do that to me? Or sister or mother? Because we think that there's this belief system we've been taught that we're supposed to stay with these humans for the rest of our lives, and that we need their approval and we need their love. And it's not true. It's conditioning. But when we realize we are the love and we have everything we need within, and our source, our source God energy, our angels are always with us. Ooh, I just like sucked that strong. When we realize that they are always with us, supporting us, we will live very differently, very powerfully, and we will actually teach others through our alignment. And so all these choices that you make to like mentor and work on yourself, to go see an energy healer, to practice meditation, when I tune into my Syrian guides, and this is where I've come from, is the Syrian star system, and I've been having lots of visions and memory of this, but my guides, they tell me that this is the most important thing that souls need to focus on for evolution. So any of us that are feeling stuck and we're ready for 2016 to be different, it's not about going and just joining a gym that you're going to quit in a couple months or a couple weeks. It's not about just, trying to people please those new people or get that different job or buy a bigger house. It's not all that external stuff. It's really this year, what if we each valued ourselves? What if we started the new year, not with a bunch of list of external things we need, but to just live and honor self. What if we make a pact to thine own self be true? That 2016, I will be true to myself. I will be true to my source alignment, and I will love myself, and I will be courageous to walk forward and to roar my truth, no matter who supports that, no matter who loves me for it, because I'm not seeking external love anymore. I give it to myself from within because I am love. And what if we each had the courage to live in this way, where we started to move with such courage and we started to mirror this embodiment of self love to everyone we met?
Take a drink.
Can you imagine? What's that, Amnon?
Take a drink, because I've got a few things here.
Yeah, I love it. People are talking today.
What is a good way to remove yourself from people who give off bad energy, especially if you don't want to cause conflicts?
Gotcha.
That's one.
Okay. So, first of all, a couple things here. One, you always have the right to move away from energy. No matter who it is, no matter who it's coming from, you have the right to remove yourself from that energy field. So if you're not a strong and aligned empath that knows they're an empowered empath and knows how to handle situations, sometimes the best choice is to move away from the energy. Not to stay there, not to fight it, not to try to handle it, but to move out of it. And so here's an example, like for myself, I have never felt comfortable in really loud, crowded spaces, and especially like, let's say bars, like a bar, a nightclub or a bar. And when I was younger, there was all this expectation that to have a social life, you go out clubbing and you go to bars and you hang out with your friends. And for some reason, they want to hang out at bars where you can't even hear each other talk and you're screaming at each other. But anyway, those environments totally would stress me out. And I would look around at all the humans there that are celebrating and getting drunk, and I would want to cry, and I would just feel all the emotion. I would feel all the energy of what people weren't saying that was making them drink too much, that was making them act the way they were acting. And so for me, those environments really felt heavy and just yucky. And I started to finally get to a place where I realized those are not the environments for Tawnya Love. And so even though maybe friends would be like, oh, wow, you're such a wuss, you can't come to the bar, or Tawnya, just come, it'll just be for a little while. I got to a place where I just really honored myself, and I said, I'm not judging you if you like going to a bar, that's fine. But to me, it's so uncomfortable, and I'm not going to do that to myself because I love myself, and I'm going to be the one that chooses the environments I go to. So that's the first thing, is to remember, no matter what it is, even if it's a job or a relationship, I'm going to tell you that because I've been in jobs and relationships that were enslaving and felt abusive and terrible. And there was a long time that I tolerated them and felt like I had to be there. And then it came a day where enough was enough, and I holographically leaped. Woo, we're jumping, angels, please show me the way. And they did every time. They took me to safer, more beautiful environments every time. So part of it is having the faith to trust that we all have angels. This is something we all have available to us, is this consciousness, our higher self, our guides. We all have them. And what I got yesterday, I spent like hours writing my book, and I'm so excited because I'm finally listening. As much as I teach about listening, sometimes even Tawnya Love struggles to embody something, and for me, I kept getting the nudge to write. You need to write. You need to put this into books. And I had fans like writing me like, Tawnya, where's your books? I want to buy your books. And so many signs were coming from the universe, like it is time to write the dialogue down. And so I started yesterday writing, and I was writing for hours. I got 25 pages written out, and I felt so good about that. But one of the big things that I was getting was that we just need to start listening, and we need to tune into our higher self. We need to realize that that higher self is always available to tune into. But so many of us, we go into like fearful, frantic human mode, and we're just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So let me just go get busy and do something. And so we get busy, we scurry around, and we, like I make the analogy of jump on the hamster wheel, and it doesn't serve us. It actually exhausts us. And if we just each this year made our meditation, our practice, our time with source, our time with higher self a priority, everything that you really want and need will magically fall into place. It will all come to you. And I can't teach that to you through words, because really I can only express that to you, but each of you have to have the courage and the wisdom to honor that and to give it a try. And each of us have to start to, put time into things that help us heal, energy healing, mentoring with someone that's going to help you. These are a path towards solution, but so many of us will put like I've talked to people like, oh, I can't afford it, Tawnya, I don't have time. Yes, you do. You have time, you have money. It's just you choose to put it in places of addiction, your vices, your fears, your insecurities. And because you choose to keep doing that, you keep yourself stuck. So we all have that power to choose if we move away from an energy. For me, bold leap out of a 20-year marriage, no job, oh shit, angels are talking to me. Yeah, that really happened. And it all worked out magically. We also could be at jobs where we know that they're not showing us honor, they're not paying us what we know we deserve. We've politely asked, we've endured a lot, and finally you get to a place where you're like, you know what, enough's enough, it's time for me to leap. And sometimes we're afraid to leap because we don't know what's going to come and take its place. But I am telling you, we have to get more comfortable with this, because we often need to release something and create space to let the new come in. So kind of think about if you have a really crowded house and you just hoard things and it's just crowded with stuff, it's really going to be difficult for you to invite new beauty and newness in when it's so compacted and cluttered. But when you clear out and you get rid of a lot of excess that you don't need, suddenly you have space to bring in new. And so if you're in a relationship that's terrible, or you're in a job you can't stand and the people don't treat you right, releasing it can be scary at first, but we have to embody this energy of faith. We have to start to move in faith and to remember the universe loves us and supports us, and your angels want good for you. They want the best for you, but often they're really ready to give it to you and to help you, but you're still clinging to the ancient. You're clinging to the old. You're clinging to the past, and that mirage, the illusion, it creates suffering. So that's
Okay.
the first thing I would say. Is there another question?
Yes.
Okay.
Boomy is asking, when did Tanya first come into her gift? I have heard the following said about me, that I'm a seer and a prophet and do not even know it yet.
Awesome. What is the first part of the question? Like, when did who come into their gift?
You.
Oh, myself. Okay. Well, so when we go back to learning empath, my entire life, I was born knowing that I am not from here. Very young. People called me Angel all the time when I was a child. They could sense something in my energy, and I was just like this spark of light. And then around age 4, started going through a lot of abuse, like being abused, from 4 to about 18, 17, 18. And in that time, a very strong inner compass of angels and knowing to just talk to them when I was working through things, but a feeling of just something's wrong with me, and there's something weird about me when I have this psychic knowing, and I know things about people, and I know I can help them, and I was always like a little messenger for spirit, but the people I was surrounded by were abusive, and so they hated the messenger. They really didn't like me, and truly tried to kill me. Like it is pretty amazing I'm here. Let's say that. Like I've been through a lot, but when I was about, I would say my whole life I had the awareness of gifts and I would see spirits and I've always known these things, but I just didn't talk about it. I didn't really give it honor. And then when my dad committed suicide in 2001, it was like such a trigger for me. It cracked me open. I started to really ask questions. I was ready for truth. I was kind of pissed off. And it's sometimes there's a beauty in that. Like if you can channel that anger, that frustration, and you can use that as a way, like a tool to your own evolution, it can be beautiful. And so I really started to communicate with spirit a lot, and like those who had passed on that were kind of in the between worlds. I was often tuning into those who had passed on, and I was giving messages to others. And then I would say 2012, I was in this abusive relationship from like age 17 with my husband all the way till, I was 40 years old in 2012. And that's when my angels started to really wake me up strong. Like they had given me so many signs throughout the marriage that it would be best for me to leave. but I was terrified and I didn't know how I was going to make it. I was so attached to the physical world. And that's why what I speak about on the show, I don't say it just from theory and like I have nothing to back it up with. I've lived this. But when I had the courage to leave that and to listen to my angels instead of the humans that were, enslaving me, everything started to open up. And like I met Amnon very synchronistically and got this show right after my angels were like, you're going to be reaching many. Now they're guiding me to write books and I'm listening and I'm doing that. And so it's really about our listening. But in 2012, that's when I would say a lot of my gifts just woke up and I started to look at humans with my physical eyes and see them shape shifting, and I would just see the world differently. It's like the movie The Giver. I was like Jonah. Like Jonah or Jonas, I think Jonas. He could just see differently, and that's how I was. So for her saying she's a seer, we have this ability to see the world in a different way, and we can see through the illusion. And what I used to feel ashamed for because of family that I was surrounded by, all my tribe was like, you're crazy, you're talking to angels, like they didn't really honor it. In a sense, it was like a darkness trying to hold me back from my divinity and my destiny. And I had to have the courage myself, and I chose this as a soul to go through that test. And I feel I strategically chose that so I could move through all that, learn of the darkness. And then now, as a healer, I am powerful at seeing into patterns and helping people clear cellular memory, helping people in an auric clearing session heal from lifetimes of abuse and help them to call back their soul parts, um, help them to see, who they've been and what their potential is, help them to kind of basically see the universe in a more aligned way. So all of those gifts really activated in 2012. And since then, I've been working as a light worker. And just when you're working with different souls and your whole gift is about intuition, like my whole everything I am is about intuition and listening and being receptive. And so whenever I'm doing a massage or a healing session or teaching a yoga or meditation class, a mentorship, this show, I'm just channeling it in and I'm trusting in the now. And so really it's about listening and it's about honoring your divinity, because I can tell you until I did that for myself, nothing changed. I felt stuck. I was literally suicidal towards the end of that relationship. I didn't want to be here anymore. And now I work with so many clients who are right on the edge and they admit to me, Tawnya, if it wasn't for you, I would not be here today. Like I was really contemplating taking my life, and which brings tears to me, but then it also just gives my heart so much hope that the souls that I'm meant to work with are listening. They're finally ready, because each of you that have been challenged and you have these gifts, they're needed here and you are so powerful, but you might need to hang around others who actually help that strength, help that strength magnify and help you amplify your gifts. And so working with a light worker that's in alignment, going to workshops, going to yoga classes, doing these things where you meet soul family, it can be the most important choice you make to help with your deeper changes. So I would really encourage the listening. What do they have to say about that?
Well, I don't want you to forget that I think you need to read a card for Cindy, right?
Yes. Yes.
But Boomy is saying, usually I told her, I took it on myself to tell her something for you. I said that you are not saying that she needs to wait for somebody to die in order to recognize her gift.
Oh, no. No. I'm just giving my, yeah.
And
That's just my story. Like, that's just how things kind of triggered action in Tawnya.
So she's saying, usually I would run away from people like Tawnya, but within 2 years, 7 spiritually gifted people found me and shared the message. Now I am listening to others and slowly downloaded new things.
Beautiful.
I just started a month ago. I guess I have to watch and listen before I can stand my position. And she said, I have felt negative energy from others, but how do you know who you can trust? That's
okay. That's a great question, and really what we're moving into is more of a this new time that we're in. The earth is shifting and it's all about energy. It's always been all about energy, but now we're really remembering and waking up to that. And so how do you know who to trust? That's a great question. And How do you know? Is you trust and honor your intuitive knowing. You trust and you need to check in and see how aligned you are yourself, because if you have a lot of fear, you will project that fear and you'll not trust anyone because you're just seeing the fear and the darkness in everyone. But if you can get yourself centered and meditate and clear your mind and ask your guides, who do I need to work with? Help guide me. And you get, like, a lot of the clients I've worked with, they've gotten that guidance where they felt very summoned to work with me right after they were praying, like, guide me, help me find the mentor. And then they found my information very synchronistically. So when we have things like that come and we're in a state of ease and we're opening up to spirit and calling out and the answer comes in, trust that. But if you're in a state of fear and you're projecting that, you might be very fearful. And then all of a sudden you go and you meet this psychic who's very fearful and controlling. We need to watch that because we energetically will put out a frequency and we'll find people who will mirror that back. So part of it is just being discerning with your own energy as you're calling out, like go into a state of prayer and ask for the guidance and then trust what comes through in a very beautiful synchronistic way. The other thing I teach all the time with the clients I work with is to discern energy and trust in the frequency and the energy more than the appearances of things. Because we could have someone that's like best-selling published author, they've done all these workshops, they've made a lot of money, but when we tune into them energetically, we're like, oh, I just get a creepy, enslaving kind of feeling. Trust that, because just because they got a lot of people promoting them doesn't mean they're aligned. And at the same level, we could meet someone that's, very not very popular or successful, but if they feel kind of shadowy and dark and like they're controlling us, trust that. So we need to really tune into the energy. If the energy feels good and it feels like truth, like as I'm speaking to each of you today and you feel like, yeah, that makes sense, that feels right in my heart, that is what you want to trust, is that feeling, the energy, not just the words I'm saying or what I look like, because this is all an illusion. The form and the words are not as important as the beingness. So when you tune into the vibrational beingness, that is truth. And people won't be able to fool you anymore. As a seer, it's really tricky for anyone to fool me because I can feel the energy and I'll notice a subtle shift in the words or what's not being said, how it's being said, how someone's projecting something. I'm like always tuning in. And so it doesn't mean I'm judging. And that's another thing for empaths to learn. Discernment is not judgment. Judgment's when you kind of cast a judgment and a label of what's good, bad, what's high, low, and acceptable, not acceptable. But discernment is where you observe and honor the knowingness of an energy. You feel something, you know, and you honor that. And so for most of us as empaths, what's going to help ignite our gifts is trusting our own discernment. And this is something the angels tell me all the time. Like, we're in a time where we must be discerning because there are those who are very tricky and they take on the form. They might call themselves light worker. They might say they're a psychic, which I would be mindful of working with anyone that says they're a psychic. Personally, just because the whole laws of attraction, free will thing, nobody really has the power to tell you your future unless you give them your power. And so I would be mindful having anyone tell you your future. People can tune in and have a feeling of where you're going vibrationally based on where you are today. But if you change that energy, you change that focal point, your future changes. So in truth, anybody telling you a solid future is not really performing white magic, is what I would say. And so we need to be very discerning with that. So let me know what they said, Amnon. Any feedback? Amnon, are you eating ice cream?
Oh, I'm switched off. No,
okay.
just Mike said that discernment is not judgment. Correct. Right. And
Yeah.
then Boomy said, do not want anyone to tell me my future. I like to walk into it. And
Exactly.
she's saying, thank you, Tanya, and thank it all, taking it all in.
Yay. And what's her name?
So now, Boomy.
Boomy?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate the feedback, guys. Yes, and
So
the reason I said that about discernment and judgment is because so many empaths that I've worked with, they really struggle. They think they're being bad empaths or bad earth angels. Like, oh, I don't want to be judgmental. I'm like, that's not judgmental. You need to honor discernment because discernment is how we survive. Discernment is our inner compass that keeps us protected, and it guides us so that we're not foolish and we don't make choices that get us in trouble. It helps us to really choose the highest frequency that's going to help us with the highest expansion and evolution. So discernment is important. It is, you absolutely want to be honoring discernment 24/7, but judgment is from the ego. Judgment is like, that's good, that's bad, I don't like this, I do like that. That's judgment. Discernment is very important, and that's an animal instinct thing in us that tells us something's not right, something's off. And if you get that vibe that something's not right and something's off, it's because it's off. So if you start, what helped my gifts just explode was when I started to honor my knowing. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't honor my knowing, because if I honored it and I really knew that this is off, that means my husband doesn't love me and he's cheating on me. Shit. And so why do we lie to ourselves? Is because we don't want to know the truth. We don't, part of us doesn't want to know truth, because if we knew truth, which already we do know, and if we knew and let ourselves honor and know that, then it would change our movie. And so what really happens is that we have gifts of, all of us have this intuitive guidance inside, but we don't want to honor it because it means stuff's going to change. So kind of process that on being brave this year in 2016. What if each of us are bold and we're courageous and we're not afraid of change? We're not, because we know that life is change. It's constant. Your soul's expansion is something that it's going to want forever. It never is going to stop. Even when you leave this body, your soul's going to keep expanding, keep exploring. And so if you allow yourself to honor the soul's need for expansion, you are going to feel good. But if we ignore the need for the soul to expand and to move in new directions, and we hold on and cling, we create suffering. And it's really optional. We don't need to do that. And eventually we're going to have to expand anyway, so may as well do it now, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
And we need to
Okay.
wrap it up, and Boomy wants your Twitter handle.
My Twitter, I think on Twitter I'm just under Tawnya Love, I believe.
Okay,
But
I told her to click on your name at the top and email you.
Yeah, go
So
to my website, like TanyaAngel555.com, and you can connect with me there, and you can email me. We can connect, girl.
So go ahead and read what you owe Cindy now.
Okay, so I drew a card from this new deck that I got called Flower Therapy Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue and Robert Reeves, and they're very cute. And this is what the card looks like. It's a lotus flower, which I love, and it's chakra clearing, lotus. By clearing your chakras, you open yourself up to profound wisdom. And Cindy and I, this is very symbolic because she's had several auric clearing sessions with me, and she's taking my chakra healing through the chakras mentorship. So she's been learning a lot about chakras, and now that she's stepping in as a healer and she's gone through the mentorship to be her own light worker, this is really going to be powerful for herself, but also for what she will be assisting her clients with. So that's what I'm getting intuitively from this. Chakra clearing. Clearing your chakras, the energy centers located all throughout your body, regularly balances your mind, your body, and your spirit. Think of chakras as filters. They catch undesirable energies and psychic dust that bring your vibration down. So this is when empaths are absorbing all the energy around them unconsciously. They got grandma's problems and moms, and they're like sucking it in. And they usually have digestive issues. They get weight gain around the belly. Like there's all these symptoms that we will start having physically that we don't have to do when we start to observe, not absorb. Very important. You can work with the magical lotus flowers to cleanse your energy. So kind of like when we call in angels or crystals, they have a frequency. You can call in the frequency and the energetic essence of the lotus flower to assist in your healing and your alignment. As you meditate on the image of the lotus blossoming, your chakras match this intention and will begin to gently open, releasing all lower energies or any stagnant energy. Excuse me. This card also asks that you work more closely with the archangels Metatron and Raziel, which is interesting because these are two angels I've been working with a lot lately, the magician and the wizard, and they're like totally going to help you shapeshift your reality fast if you want to. If you want to be a holographic leaper like Tawnya Love, you really just hold the frequency, you hold the feeling of having your desire, and you feel it and you visualize it every day. You only speak positively about it. But what's really important is not just visualization, but it's holding that frequency of the being one with the whatever external thing that you're calling in, or the internal shift. So if you're wanting healing, you hold the focus on the feeling of healing and wholeness, not the problem of the sickness. So Metatron and Raziel, great angels to work with. Metatron helps bring balance to all aspects of your life, which is what we're talking about today, by clearing your energy. Raziel is a magical wizard who teaches you deep spiritual concepts and philosophies. By connecting to these archangels and the flowers, you'll be taken to new heights. So we're opening ourselves to become more aligned with these frequencies of wholeness, which is what any light worker really needs to focus upon in amplifying their own gifts. They need to do that first inner shift work, and then they can start to really help others externally. So on that note, really quickly, because we already went over 12 minutes, this coming this coming Saturday on the 2nd, I'm actually leading a magical manifesting miracles workshop, which we're going to be creating vision boards for the new year. And I'm going to be talking a lot about laws of attraction and vibrational frequency. So if you want to do that class, you could join me remotely through Skype or join us through phone. And if you're local, you can come join us in our sacred space. So if you're interested in that, contact me right away so that I know how many to expect. And you're going to want to get like a 16 by 20 canvas and just start getting magazine, pictures, and go on the internet and whatever you want to put on your vision board, start gathering that. So that's coming up. And then our Twin Flame Union workshop is coming up on January 3rd from 11 to 2 p.m. in our sacred space. Again, anybody that's listening today that wants to join remotely, contact me right away and we can make that happen. And we're going to be talking a lot about attracting your twin flame. What's the difference between soulmate and twin flame? But also, it's going to be so powerful for any one of you watching, even if you're not necessarily wanting to have a twin flame relationship, because it's going to be a lot about self-love, energy activations, and meditation. And then, like I said, I've got that Empowering the Empath mentorship starting on the 16th. It goes for 6 months. And all this info, if you email me, I'll give you the information. And then our next Healing Through the Chakras mentorship is on the 7th, a Thursday from 4 to 7. And we are going to be connecting on the third eye chakra. And so really opening psychic vision, activating the inner vision centers and the physical eyes so that they work in harmony. And that's going to be a really powerful one for any of you who are desiring to step in more fully as seers and really honoring your gifts of psychic guidance and intuition. A great class for that. So I think that's most of them. And then I've got the 3-month Essence of Yoga and Meditation teacher training starting at the end of the month. That is 3 months of mentorship where you're going to really learn to move in a moving meditation no matter what you're doing. And it's great if you get a certificate if you want to be a teacher. But if you don't want to be a teacher, it's going to be great for just your own practice and living with more mindfulness, where it's got a strong focus on spirituality and on meditation. So anyway, that is a lot of my yumminess that's coming up for January. And
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I will have a show on the 3rd. And then on the 10th, there will not be a live show, just to give you guys a heads up, because I'm going to be on a romantic getaway with my beloved. So we'll be gone for just a night at the beach. But so we'll play another past show. But any of you guys watching, you can help me spread this love mission better by just going to my YouTube channel under Tawnya Love and following me there, and then share the videos. Like, what's going to help me reach more people, which is my goal this year in 2016. I went backwards. And 2016 is to, complete my books and to start traveling the world as a teacher and a light worker and helping with leading retreats and things worldwide. So that is my intention. And you each watching, if you're not sure what your part is to play and what's my mission, even you just going and sharing videos of light workers you resonate with helps us so much. And so you spreading those and, following us on the page and like letting people know about what I do. I really reward my clients who bring referrals. And so I just welcome you if you feel inspired, because it's not an obligation thing. But if in your heart you feel inspired, please, follow us on YouTube and go and share the videos, because it's going to help us get them to more people, which is going to help us shift the collective consciousness into a higher vibrational frequency of love and light. And that is my mission. So I thank all of you for tuning in today. Is there any last minute questions coming in, Amnon? Or any
There is one. I just want to see if, yeah, okay, he's still here. He's asking, what is the purpose of energetic vampirism? Do we all need it sometimes?
What is the purpose of energetic vampirism?
Yeah. He's saying, do we all need it sometimes?
I would say we could do a whole show on that topic.
Okay. All right.
So really quickly, we'll do a whole show on that topic, but really quickly, I'd just say we really need to come into this place where we remember that we are one with our source, and our source God connection is where we get our energy, where our abundance comes from, where all of our goodness comes from, our love, it's all within us. So when we really shift into that, which is what I do as a mentor and a teacher, I'm going to help people really get that. And this is going to be a little work, not hard, but just you consistently remembering and practicing these things. When you remember this alignment, you will not need to take energy from anyone. And when you're awake and aware in your own vibrational frequency and oneness with source, you will not give your energy to others either. When even as a light worker, I am channeling divine light and love frequencies, and it's coming through me to assist that soul, but it's not me giving them my personal energy. So light workers a lot of times need to learn that important alignment and balance, because often they're giving their own energy and then they're drained. Another thing is like the people taking, like when we're feeling really insecure and fearful, we want to take energy from each other. This is every bit of conflict on our planet comes from this. So Amnon, remind me of that at the end. I'll write that down and I will do a show all about that.
Okay.
But that's a quick little answer to a whole show worth of topic.
Sure.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, go to my website after this. Go to YouTube and follow us and give me your feedback on there, online. Contact me. You want to have some magic happen in your world? Come contact me and let's do some soul coaching together or some auric clearings remotely. And I promise you, magic will ignite. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. And let's just call forth an amazing 2016 by being true to ourselves, loving ourselves, and honoring the balance, because that is what it's all about. Namaste.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tawnya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Parent Dome with Ryan Miller, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.